Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Hops Geek News. Once again, we will be just jumping right into the fun. We had such a great time today. We will be talking about the sequel trilogy of Star Wars. As always, go to hopsnews.beer to find all of our other podcasting episodes, our merch, our links, our articles, everything that we've ever written is right there at hopsnews.beer, or go to Hops Geek News on Twitter, Instagram, or TikTok. Find us there, and we're going to be joined by a special guest today. So with that said, let's go.
Flooding tunnels over that ridge. We'll get in that way.
What was your job when you were based here?
Sanitation.
Sanitation? Then how do you know how to disable the shields?
I don't. I'm just here to get Rey.
People are counting on us. The galaxy is counting on us.
Solo, we'll figure it out. We'll use the Force.
That's not how the Force works. Oh, really? You're cold?
Come on.
Hey everybody, welcome back. Like I said, we have a returning guest with us here to talk more like try and work our way through. This is a therapeutic session. All right. This might be a bit of therapy. Maybe we're just going to sit here and chat. I don't want to say bash necessarily, because there are some decent things. There were some gems hidden amongst the trash pile, but we are talking the sequel trilogy of Star Wars with our friend Kevin from Hopsnheroes. He was on a while ago where we talked, I believe it was X-Men when last time Kevin was on. So that was last year sometime. He has a killer account, which we're going to let him talk all about in a minute, because I can't do it justice. The man himself will talk. So first things first, this portion of the episode is brought to you by Tactical Brewing and their collab with Everbrew. Cervaria, you know what? I can't pronounce this. Cervaria. Listen, it's Cervejaria, and it's two sides to every story. It's a New England IPA with Cryo Citra, Strata, mangoes, and mango terpenes at 6.7%. It's from Tactical, like I said, which is down in Orlando.
Terpenes.
Yeah, you're right. I don't know. I'm illiterate. All right. You know what? Some things, it just happens. So that's what I am drinking. It's a delicious, good New England IPA. Tactical always kills it. I figured two sides to every story was a good one for this, because we have two different sides of the coin, and also Jedi, Sith, all that good stuff. So Lauren, what are you drinking on this portion?
So while you're drinking Orlando beer, I had a tactical beer earlier, but I'm actually drinking a Great Notion beer. So I'm drinking a beer that was brewed near you, and you're drinking a beer that was brewed near me. So it is called Strawberry Mochi, and it is a IPA with strawberry and vanilla flavor, and it contains milk sugar. So you can tell it's an IPA, it's hoppy, but it definitely has like a sweet finish, and I can definitely taste the strawberry.
Sounds good.
But I picked it for today because the guy on the can kind of looks like an Ewok, and he's got a hammer in his hand. He's like ready to kill some stormtroopers and eat them.
Kind of does. That's fair. I'll give you that one.
So,
it definitely does kind of look like an Ewok, which we know Ewoks definitely were eating stormtrooper carcasses if they were willing to eat Luke, Han, and Leia.
Ewok that I don't know where the hell this thing came from, but it says Burger King Corporation, Miami, Florida, Star Wars Episode 3.
Then it came from Burger King back from Star Wars Episode 3, like all those years ago. Yeah. 17 years ago today, actually, when we're recording this.
This is Revenge of the Sith. Yeah, copy 2005. I mean, I don't know how I got this, though.
The glory
it's just
days
always
of Star
been
Wars.
there.
I'm trying to think of when the Ewoks showed up in episode 3.
They only showed up in one movie, but
I think it wasn't it at the end with or maybe
they
I'm thinking
add
of
them
no,
in?
it was Wookiees. Yoda was with the Wookiees.
Yeah, he was with
maybe
the
just
Wookiees.
celebrating at the end.
Just some Burger King.
There was no
exec
celebration
really-
at the end of episode 3. I don't know what movie you were watching.
I'm thinking
when nobody
episode
was
6.
celebrating.
I don't know.
The Organas were celebrating. They just got a new free baby.
Yeah,
right?
they've been trying for years.
Free baby.
that sweet.
Some executive at Burger King
Palpatine
was
was
just
celebrating.
dying for Ewoks and was like, "We're just making an Ewok stuffy for episode 3. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Capitalize. Do it.
Exactly.
Speaking of doing it, that wonderful voice you hear is our guest tonight, Kevin. Kevin, welcome back to the show. Go ahead and for those who might not have been here for the first time, let us know what it is you do, because you do some pretty rad stuff, really rad photography. So the floor is yours, man.
Thanks. Well, first off, thanks for having me back. It's good to see you guys again.
Yeah.
Kind of feel like, we're here to talk sequel trilogy. It kind of feels like when you see somebody for the first time at like a funeral, it's like, oh my God, it's so good to see you. Sorry, it was under such circumstances.
I mean, you're absolutely right.
But yeah, I think first time on, I was way back when we did the Black Widow preview.
Oh, that was it. Maybe for some reason I was
Yeah,
thinking
it was Black Widow. Yeah,
it was Black Widow.
Micah
You're
was
right.
on too.
Yeah,
I saved
and
myself.
Micah dragged me on to Tavern Geek for X-Men. I think maybe that's where.
Yeah, that was a good one. You guys talked about X-Men '97, right? The cartoon.
Yeah, the old animated series. That was a good time. But so anyway, so thanks for having me on. My name's Kevin. Hopsnheroes, my Instagram handle. Whereas I basically created that account to get out there and throw my love for action figures and craft beer together into some fun action shots. Just mix them up. 2 hobbies. They seem to go together well for some reason. It works. Try to get out there, set up some fun scenes, showcase some cool toys, some great beer, and hopefully people can enjoy it and have some fun with it. You guys, I know,
I enjoy it.
fans,
That's for
and
sure.
you enjoy looking at it, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, you do some really good stuff, man. Really good stuff.
I got one cooked up for tonight. I tried to find the coolest thing out of the sequel trilogy. I sent you guys a little preview of my samurai Kylo Ren in front of an Airdate theory can that we'll have coming up. I might post that probably the night you guys release this episode. We'll get that.
Look,
posted.
it could be worse. We could be on here talking about the Morbius movie. All right.
Oh,
This is true. We don't want to do that to ourselves. So.
Oh God,
we still haven't even seen it. We did a whole comic origin episode on it, and we haven't seen it.
It's sitting on my Plex server right now.
So neither of you have seen it?
No, God, no.
Right, so
I'm
that
not
makes
giving up
3
my
of us.
money.
That makes 3 of us. Then. I've heard enough to know that I don't need to see it.
I haven't gotten.
I know
morbed
the
yet.
whole. I know the one thing, the vulture, whatever. I finally saw that. I was just like, I don't
They've
care
been
anymore.
slowly deleting that extra credit scene. Oh yeah, God, no. Yeah. We're not getting morbed on this episode. We're getting J.J. Abrams.
All those poor memes of Jared Leto being a part of both the worst DC and the worst Marvel movies ever.
Yeah.
He kind of sucks as a human anyways, so he deserves it. But what do you say? What do you say we kind of get into these movies? Let's
first you
got to tell your beer. Yeah, I'm so sorry.
No worries.
Where are my manners?
Tonight I'm drinking Boba Fett.
Oh, look at that can.
Gosh, that's amazing.
From Bolero Snort down in New Jersey. These guys, if you're familiar, if you ever see them, their can art is some of the best going around. It's tons of pop culture references, and a bull is their mascot, so they always throw bull in there somehow. They're really, really solid.
That's so rad.
What's the name of the brewery again? Because I know that logo. I know I've had something from them, but I have no idea what.
Bolero Snort.
Bolero Snort. Damn.
Yeah. And I'm rocking a new glass that I came across at Target. It's a Samurai Boba Fett.
That's awesome. At Target?
Target of all places.
Like, there's no way. I think it's from the Star Wars Visions show.
Oh, yeah.
But it just so happens my favorite Star Wars toy line that I have is samurai-inspired designs.
Oh, where'd you find that? So for those, obviously, maybe I'll throw this one on YouTube just because there's a lot of cool action figures. But yeah, that's a Samurai Boba Fett. Where'd you find that guy?
So Bandai does a line of these. They're called movie realization, and it's obviously you guys mentioned it. I think in one of the episodes, maybe in the OG trilogy, about Lucas taking such heavy influence from samurai films for the Star Wars movies, which is why they all have swords, right? The Jedis have swords and everything. And Vader's helmet's actually very much stylized after an old samurai helmet. So Bandai took that and ran with it, and they've got a line of figures of all the samurai style armor and everything. It's really, really, really cool.
Damn, that's dope. That is a cool action figure.
The Kylo Ren that I'm shooting for you guys for tonight, I'll try to do this without making everybody dizzy. You can see the setup over on the side. Maybe.
Oh, yeah.
There, right. You can see that little.
Oh, I see Juggernaut.
Yeah, there we go.
Juggernaut is Samurai Kylo Ren. Probably too far to see right now, but he's
so rad, there. Man. Super rad. A lot of good stuff. That can art is good. That's going
to drive me nuts as to what beer I had from them. I know I've had that label before. This is why I get upset I don't check into Untapped as much as I should.
I know. I'm so bad with it.
I always forget. I wonder if it's a beer maybe you sent me, because I know that freaking label, but I just looked it up. It's like I saw a fantastic Jurassic Park label. Like they got some great can art. And when the beer is as good as the can art, that's just magic.
They did one. I have a buddy that lives right near them in New Jersey, so he sends me stuff all the time. But they did a caramel turtle, you know, that candy.
Oh, yeah.
So they did a brown ale flavored like that, and it was Ninja Turtle themed.
Dang, that's sick.
And the 4-pack of cans, each can was one of the turtles. So it was you had a Raph can, a Leo can, a Donatello, and a Mikey can.
Ellipsis Brewing did that here.
Yeah,
they had
Ellipsis did, yep.
2 sours and I think 2 IPAs, and they had all 4 of them. But it was really cool can art. Like it didn't look like the cartoons so much, but
Excellent.
All right. Well, are you guys mentally prepared to do this?
You know what? Let's just get this over with. So we're going to start with The Force Awakens. The IMDb plot for this is: as a new threat to the galaxy rises, Rey, a desert scavenger, and Finn, an ex-stormtrooper, must join Han Solo and Chewbacca to search for the one hope of restoring peace. So, as we begin,
like that word hope.
I'm going to go ahead. I've told this story a million times. I maybe on this podcast before, but I know somebody out there I've told this to. I saw this movie on my second deployment. I was out there in Qatar of all places, or Qatar, however you want to pronounce it. I've heard people pronounce it both ways. And me and this other dude in my shop, super Star Wars nerds, like wicked Star Wars nerds. We knew that the little shop on base was giving away tickets because there was only one movie theater on base. They were going to show it the night that it would have aired in America. So we would have seen it before our American friends, everybody like that. So we waited for 4 hours. We did some shady backdoor deals to be able to get off work, got in there, waited 4 hours for tickets. We got our tickets. And then I waited 6 hours in line at the movie theater to be able to get that perfect movie theater slot, which was like right in the middle. And as I am going into the movie theater after 6 hours of waiting in the hot desert heat in the middle of summer, or it felt like maybe summer, but no, I guess it was December at that point, because either way, it was still hot as hell out there. It was still 100
there, right?
Yeah, it was like 110 degrees still, and this was at night. And so we're waiting to go in. As I'm going in, there was Wi-Fi there because, first world problems. And so I checked my phone, and somebody from my group chat back home had texted a picture of Han Solo being stabbed by Kylo Ren. And so that was spoiled by my friend as I'm going into the movie, and the rest is history. But I like this movie. I know it's a rehash of A New Hope. This to me was a good movie. It made me feel Star Wars. It really did. And before I dive into any more, I want to know, Kevin, did you see this opening night? When did you first see this? What were your initial reactions?
I did see it opening night. I somehow convinced my wife to go with me, she's not a Star Wars person at all. But I thought it was great. I mean, I really enjoyed the movie. It was super fun. You mentioned a rehash of New Hope, but it definitely seemed to rehash almost all 3 of the original trilogy movies to a degree. They had a similar story up front. They end up on a snowy planet. Then they end up on kind of a jungly planet with with Maz's Tavern there.
Oh yeah, a good story for another time.
Yeah, so it was fun. I liked the movie. They had a lot of good stuff in there. It was definitely made for fans of the original trilogy. Threw a lot of things at you. Introduced some fun new characters. Introduced some crappy new characters, but for the most part, it was solid. I enjoyed it. It was a good start to what could have come.
Oh, they laid so many good plot lines, which we're going to dive into in just a second. But Lauren, let us know your initial reactions. When did you see this movie?
So this was the first Star Wars movie that came out that I was like, hey, I'd like to see this, because I had just recently kind of watched all of them. And then my father-in-law, the king of spoilers, the guy who told me about Ned Stark, flat out said, oh, Kylo Ren kills Han. And it ruined that scene. I didn't see it opening night, but I did see it in theaters. I was going to say Redbox, but like I remember watching it and getting to the scene where I could tell that was about to happen, and just that whole scene was just lost on me. Like there was nothing. Yep. It was just,
I knew it was going to happen too. It took everything away.
Right. It definitely did. It definitely did. And like, not in a way of like, we all know Vader is Luke's father, because it's like we were born knowing that if you were born after these movies came out. Like that didn't take away from the scene. Like this just like totally took away from that scene, because the whole premise of this first movie is Kylo Ren being conflicted and wanting to go dark side, but struggling with the light, like almost like the opposite of Anakin. And like that was his gateway to going, like him trying to go dark. And it was he had like to force himself to go to the dark side. I mean, that was so great. Was he was like, I know what I must do, but I don't have to know if I have the strength to do it. It was his constant. So Adam Driver, straight up, he was my favorite thing about the sequel trilogy. He was amazing. He portrayed that struggle internally beautifully, especially in this movie. You saw him constantly struggle between the light and the dark. He had that teen angst almost, like we wanted out of Anakin Skywalker. I was literally just going to say that. He gave us what I wanted to see from Anakin.
Yeah. And not for nothing, I understand the big thing, again, is this is like a rehash of the other movies, but this is like our first Star Wars film that we have gotten since Revenge of the Sith, which came out in 2003. And so fans of the franchise, like we were ready, like Disney bought Star Wars. We are so ready for this film, and visually beautiful.
But it wasn't 2005 when I got this Ewok toy?
Oh, no, you're right. I think it was 2005. 2003 was Attack of the Clones. So,
like, this toy is just more confusing by the second.
That Burger King toy is full of lies. It is what it is.
Full of lies.
So it sits on a throne of lies.
I see through the lies of the Ewoks.
I even like convinced myself, like, oh, there must have been Ewoks at the end of episode. That's really bad. I was combining the scene where Yoda turns around and kills stormtroopers with celebrations.
Yes,
on Endor. Well, I mean,
we were all celebrating because it was pretty badass. But there was a lot of things that were for Star Wars fans we were excited about. I mean,
is that an Ewok on the thing?
Ewok.
So you probably Kevin has an arsenal of toys behind him, all around him, and he just pulled out an Ewok on one of those. What do you call those toys?
Speeder bike.
They have those at Disney. You can take a picture on it.
Yeah.
Where did they move that to? That used to be right over by Star Tours.
Oh God, you're right. I haven't seen it in a long time. I don't know.
It is somewhere though.
Speedception.
Yeah.
I didn't even think of that. I don't remember the last time I've seen it. I'll let you know. I'll look for it next week.
Since I know Mash's love for the fast movies,
I love those movies so much.
Ewok on a speeder bike. Spoiler dad joke coming. Would he be fast and furious?
He would be fast and furious looking for his family that was left after Endor.
That's right. It's all about family.
Oh, man. But
unless you're eating somebody else's family, because the Ewoks do that.
Yeah, but you're doing it to feed your own, right?
That's true. That's a way of life.
Sacrifice another family for your own family.
Yeah.
On the real, though, this movie sets up a lot
it's not
to
family,
be desired.
It's party.
So the movie opens up with Kylo and crew coming to this, and then you get Finn, who internally struggles with what the stormtroopers are doing, the First Order. They have kind of the remnants of the Empire, that kind of stuff. And not for nothing, but Finn as a runaway stormtrooper turned Jedi that right there is your big storyline. Like that is your storyline.
Does he turn Jedi?
He does in the
We're
Christmas
We're going to get
Lego
into that.
one.
We will get into that after. We will get into that.
Far.
So once we get to Rise of
cute. You should watch
Skywalker,
it.
we're going to dive into that bad boy because I have a lot to say on that.
I mean, anyone can pick up a sword, right?
I mean, like,
hurts.
Yeah,
yes, it does.
But I
was trying to get another viewing of Rise of Skywalker in before we got here, and my kids.
I tried last night.
Way too late and couldn't finish, but ran out of time.
I just couldn't finish because it was so bad. But, there is a lot.
But I mean, Force, you nailed it with Adam Driver. I'm not gonna refer to him as Adam Driver for a reason, which I'll get to. Kylo Ren, right? Kylo Ren. What a great character. I mean, they set the stage with him. That first opening scene of him hunting down the old guy whose name I can't remember at the time, to get the map of where he's got to go. But just the viciousness of that scene and where he just catches that laser and sits it there the whole time he's dealing with Poe. And then they just, as he walks away, it just continues to fire and hits like that. Yeah. Just like, what a badass character. Cool helmet, great visual look, cool helmet that he should have kept on the entire freaking trilogy.
Again, cool helmet.
That is my problem. That is my problem with Kylo Ren. Put your damn helmet on. I don't want to see your face.
But he didn't need the helmet, and that's brought to our attention more than once. It's like you're trying to be Vader, but like you don't need that helmet. You don't need that to breathe. Like you don't have like
he needs it.
You haven't gone.
I like the fact that he was trying to be Vader though, because that's his uncle. So I like the fact that he was trying to be Vader, and so they should have kept the helmet. Grandfather, that's what it was. I'm sorry.
And Snoke tells him he doesn't need the helmet.
Yeah.
Like he's told by
the Emperor when we get there.
Oh, maybe it's the Emperor I'm thinking of, but he's told by both sides.
He's like your silly helmet or whatever.
Right. He doesn't need it. Like it's all for show and it's all for trying to be like his grandfather.
Awesome. That's great.
But if he wanted to stay cooler the whole time, he should have kept it on.
Also,
but he was struggling with the fact that he is not as cool as he wants to be.
No, I just want him to be cool. Just stay cool.
Well, he was cool.
I mean, even the scene without his shirt on was a little awkward. It was like,
Kylo is buff, dude.
We'll
get to that movie. Were a little too high.
I think he's just awkward all around. Is he not?
He is.
Like, he is awkward.
When he doesn't have his helmet on, he's awkward.
He is. And like, I don't find him attractive at all. And like, I've heard people be like, oh my God, Adam Driver. I'm like, really? All right.
Thick.
I mean, he doesn't need to be attractive or whatever to be Kylo Ren. Yes, he is fit. Like and that's all he needs. He just needs to have a personality that's very dominating and very powerful.
Well, okay. So,
and I think he did a great job of capturing that.
Interestingly enough, before we go off the awkwardness of Adam Driver, Last Duel, really awkward, but we'll skip that movie. There was another movie that I saw, interestingly, where he and Scarlett Johansson
that's the marriage story.
Yeah. Oddly, the last main character we were talking about when I was here, and now this one.
Yeah. So he's in that one, and then he's really good in Black Klansman too. Like I highly recommend that film as well to somebody who wants.
Only seen him in Star Wars.
He's got chops.
On Saturday Night Live.
Adam Driver. He has some real serious acting chops, and he kind of like this movie takes place 30 years after the Battle of Endor. You got to think he's born into this famous bloodline, Leia and Han Skywalkers, and then Luke takes him to,
and he's named after Obi-Wan. That is cute.
He's named after Ben, and so he's got the way of the world. And so one thing that I wish this did more of was show us, like, we never really got an explanation as to why Ben was going down. I guess we kind of did. Okay.
We did.
Snoke was kind of whispering sweet nothings into his ear and all of that stuff. And he knew his grandfather was, okay, fine, I'll live with that. Cool. But like
when he felt betrayed by Luke, somebody who was representing the light side.
We're getting to that one in the next movie here in a minute. Like, trust me, I got time for that shit.
That's his favorite movie. Let's let him go.
I just want to, one thing that really pissed me off was the fact that we didn't get an explanation as to how Darth Vader, aka Anakin Skywalker's lightsaber, ended up in Maz Kanata's hands. She was like a great story for another time. we never got that other
on
time.
Disney Plus.
We never got that other time. So like, how did she end up with this? It was at Cloud's, Bespin, and it just fell down there. How did she end up with this? But I got to praise this movie still too, though, because
I also want to know how Kylo Ren got Vader's helmet.
That too.
And why after 30 years is it still smoking?
It was a hell of a fire. There was like a fire that's burned for like 30 years
secrets.
before.
I need his camping secrets.
I could see Luke having kept that because, he burned Vader's body and like kept it as like I mean, that's kind of creepy. That'd be almost like, Boba keeping Jango Fett's helmet that his head was
this
chopped
helmet
off
over
inside
here,
of. Oh,
my
wait.
dad killed so many younglings with.
Right. All around creepy.
It would be interesting if Luke kept it because that's the dark side of his dad.
Yeah.
Right. And he had to take out the burned leftovers of his head, much like Boba had to take out his father's decapitated head out of that helmet. So there's a lot of like
poetry.
What we need is an episode of the Star Wars therapists dealing with this shit with all these people.
Oh, man.
Here's what I'm thinking. Luke walks away. The Ewoks run over. They're like, "Sweetie, cook them for us." They grab the body, and then they bring
stick
Luke
it on a spike.
Then they bring Luke the helmet as a thank you. They're like, "This one's too burned to use as a drum. You can have it back."
Yikes! And then when Kylo, after he kills all the younglings, he goes and steals the helmet and runs away.
There you go.
Yes. Well, speaking of beautiful and poetry, I really enjoyed in this movie the fact that the lightsabers, like the sound of the lightsabers, the sound work on this was great. When they ignited the lightsabers, they sounded really cool. And then we also get this forest scene at the end where like Finn picks up the lightsaber and him and Kylo are about to go to duel, and Finn actually holds his own for a little bit. Like that was also really badass. And so it's like, there's a lot to love. Yeah, we blew up another Starkiller. I hated the fact that they blew up the New Republic so quick. You never got to see the New Republic. And then we introduced characters like Captain Phasma who end up being nobodies. But there's a lot to like in this movie. I love it. It kind of captured that Star Wars. So before we go to The Last Jedi, Lauren, I know you have some fun facts. And then I want to get some last final thoughts before we go into this.
Before we get to fun facts, I'm going to jump in on your lightsaber thing because not only do they sound awesome and looked great, Kylo's had a new cool sound with it, like a little
it was
bit
sparking
heavier.
And everything. Yeah,
his is like uncontrolled. It's just like all over the place. He built it himself. That whole thing. Now, I remember when this movie came out, all the controversy on Star Wars geekdom was Kylo Ren's lightsaber's impractical. That's stupid. It can't have those two little side, lasers, whatever. He's going to cut his own hand off trying to swing the thing.
They're all going to do that.
Nobody lost a hand.
Yeah, I thought it ended up being awesome. And the way they utilized that feature as the movies went on was just great. I mean, in watching the first 2/3 of Rise again earlier today, he uses those side pieces to hold on to Rey's saber a couple times as she's like fighting with him. Oh
yeah, that's right.
And then in the beginning, see that movie, he's going around like stabbing guys with it and just slamming them into the ground. So they kind of did well with that lightsaber. Plus, it's just cool looking.
It is pretty cool looking. I will say though that as somebody who has spun their kids' lightsabers quite a bit, they definitely would all have harmed themselves. There's no way in hell, especially when they're training. I mean, come on. These battles and whatnot, you're 100% like at least charring part of your body. That's probably the most unrealistic thing about Star Wars. Okay. So
yes, that of all things, that's the most unrealistic.
Go find a lightsaber and spin it around and try not to cut something off or touch yourself with the actual stick at all. It is. I have years of Jedi training, and it is very difficult.
Yeah. Light speed travel.
Nope, I'm sticking with it.
We're just going to go with the lightsaber being the most unrealistic thing.
100%.
In 10 years, when we're all holding a real one, Lauren's going to eat her words.
Joke's on you, Lauren.
No, you're all going to be holding a real one, missing body parts and having charred body parts. And then I'll be like, haha, I warned you. Where's your pinky?
We did it.
What?
Worth it.
Oh, where'd you get that huge scar on your back? Oh, you thought you were cool spinning it around like that? Yeah, did you cut part of your ass off? All right. Okay. Starkiller Base is actually a nod to Luke's original last name, Starkiller. I actually didn't see this. This is just my assumption because his original last name was going to be Starkiller. Jakku was going to be an ice planet, but J.J. Abrams said he wanted the sequels to resemble the originals as much as possible. So he made Jakku a desert planet. He's also the reason that these movies mimic A New Hope so much. That was 100% intentional. I know we've kind of already touched on that a bit, but he ripped off the original movies on purpose. Abrams wanted to open the film with the lightsaber floating in space and clutched by an amputated hand, but he got shot down. Captain Phasma, who is Gwendolyn Christie, a.k.a. Brienne of Tarth from Game of Thrones. So she was originally going to be a dude, and they started getting shit for really not really casting anybody other than Rey, and rightfully so. So they turned her into a female. And in my personal opinion, when you have a badass female character, it's almost scarier because nobody expects them to be evil. And then I thought she did a great job. I know you said she was kind of a throwaway character, but I really liked her. Maybe I'm just biased because I like her. So the armor
so much more. Could have been so much more. The armor was insanely awesome. She did a great job. With what they gave her, all 5 lines.
Well, her armor was actually a discarded Kylo Ren idea.
No, her armor was taken from Palpatine's ship. Like, she was such a fanatic.
But not in the movie was it a Kylo Ren discard in production. Like, that was one of the things drawn up when they were trying to create Kylo Ren's outfit.
Like, she was such a fanatic that her armor was taken from Palpatine's ship. So, like, okay.
Would he have like an elite crew that he was working on?
Like his yacht or something like that. So,
space yacht. So Poe was supposed to die early on, but then Oscar Isaac expressed concern in dying so early on that he didn't want to do the role if he was going to die so quick, so they kept him alive.
Boy, was he probably like, damn, I messed up.
Lots of stars made cameos in these movies. So Daniel Craig plays a stormtrooper. Simon Pegg is Ungar the junk dealer. Bill Hader helped provide some of the sounds for BB-8. Warwick Davis, who we see in multiple Star Wars movies, is actually an alien at Maz Kanata's castle. And Kevin Smith is the voice for one of the First Order stormtroopers. So Kevin Smith, they were actually concerned about.
Yeah,
that was the first one I said.
Oh, I didn't hear that one. I didn't hear that one.
He's the one in the room with Rey, and she tells him to go do something.
Whoops.
But with Kevin Smith, they were.
If you look, I'm sorry to interrupt. I think if you look, his stormtrooper number, I think it's something 007.
I think so.
Oh, is it? That's awesome. So they were worried about Smith kind of, because he's a talker, kind of ruining things. So, of course, he had to sign NDAs and whatnot. And so the only thing he did come out and say was that when he went on to the Millennium Falcon, he cried. And anybody who knows anything about Kevin Smith, he cries a lot. Yeah. I mean, he cries over lots of things, so he definitely would have cried on that. So you can actually hear both Ewan McGregor and Alec Guinness as Obi-Wan Kenobi in the movie. BB-8 was one of the original sketches for R2, but back in the 70s, they could not recreate him with the ball rolling kind of thing. Maz's castle was a design originally intended for Vader's castle. So Peter Mayhew is so tall. He's the one who's Chewie. He's so tall because he actually suffers from giantism. And by the time they began filming this, that was really impacting his health negatively. So he's only Chewie in the scenes where Chewie could actually sit. The rest of the time, it is Joonas Suotamo who doubled for him, and he is a Finnish basketball player.
Yep.
A production company behind Star Wars has pleaded guilty to 2 criminal charges after Han Solo, or Harrison Ford, broke his leg on set. So the 74-year-old was actually hit by a hydraulic metal door on the Pinewood set of the Millennium Falcon in June 2014. Ford thought it was, or he didn't think it was a live set, and he got pinned down. And the prosecutor argued that this was a foreseeable accident that could have actually caused him death.
Okay, but he also doesn't know how to fly a plane right and crashed his plane in oncoming traffic. So,
who, Harrison Ford?
Yeah,
is that
you didn't
in
hear
6
about,
days,
he's
7
always
nights?
getting in airplane incidents. Always in
That's
airplane.
where my head went too, Lauren. Same thing.
So this was actually the first Star Wars film to not have Kenny Baker cast as R2-D2, but he is credited as a consultant. So I thought this one was really cool. Outside of Maz's castle, you see different symbols, and one of them is Hondo's pirate flag. So there's a little nod to Hondo. The Millennium Falcon has a rectangular antenna in The Force Awakens, and that is because it lost its original antenna at the Battle of Endor in Return of the Jedi. And my last fun fact is the Millennium Falcon chess game that Finn accidentally triggers picks up right where the chess game between R2 and Chewie left off in A New Hope. And there's my fun fact.
Interesting. Well, let's move on into The Last Jedi.
Here's a close-up, by the way, of Samurai Kylo.
That's pretty rad, too. Damn. That's sick. Those samurai toys are dope. I can't wait to see pictures.
A little lightsaber.
So, The Last Jedi, which was released December 15th, 2017, the Star Wars saga continues as new heroes and galactic legends go on an epic adventure, unlocking mysteries of the Force and shocking revelations of the past. If we remember from Force Awakens, this ends with Rey finally finding Luke and holding out the lightsaber, and we're left on a cliffhanger. Well, when this opens up, Luke tosses that fucking lightsaber off the cliff and doesn't want to do any of this anymore. I saw this. I'm a fool. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Guess what? Fool me 3 times because I saw all 3 of these fucking movies opening night. And you'd think I'd learned my lesson, but no. The Last Jedi I saw, and it was me, my dad, who's a wicked Star Wars fan, my wife, my brother, who doesn't go to movies. We finally got his ass out to see a movie, and his wife. And it was The Last Jedi. I bought the popcorn tin. Okay. I was so excited. I got the popcorn tin in my closet right now. I was so
only
excited.
Bought the Guardians of the Galaxy 2 one.
Why would you not be excited? They set you up so well.
Set me up.
You're getting
so
Luke back. The hype is there.
We found Luke's coming back. He's going to reunite with Leia. The galaxy is
like
saved.
X-Men 3 all over again.
Oh, yeah.
And
getting Dark Phoenix. It's going to be amazing.
It's just like there was so much there. And we go into this movie, and it's a 2-day slow chase. Oh, my God. So they are chasing the First Order, wiped out the New Republic. Okay. Whatever. Fine. But then they spend this entire movie is just the First Order chasing the New Republic in their Star Cruiser. It opens up with your mom jokes. It had so much potential because, Kelly Marie Tran, her character Rose, like her sister, it starts off, it had so much potential because her sister's, a bomb on the B wings, and they're dropping gravity bombs on these ships. And you're like, hell yes.
Yeah, I thought you said gravity bomb for a second.
Yeah,
those hit hard.
No, maybe 18 years, when I was 18 years old. But, and then we get like Poe just telling your mom jokes. Hux gets degraded. Snoke, nothing ever happens with Snoke. Visually, yeah, great. This movie's great. It's visual. And then if you're like, one thing that you have good to say about this movie is that it does something different. That's the sign of a bad movie. Like, well, it's different. Well, that's a sign of a bad movie right there. Like the throne room scene, pretty cool. I like that lightsaber battle.
That is a fantastic battle.
Exactly. And then they go ahead. They completely disregard Foe. That's my shipping name for Finn and Poe. But Poe and Finn get completely disregarded. Finn was a damn ex-stormtrooper who was Force sensitive. We all knew it. It wasn't confirmed. And he gets degraded to just yelling Rey the entire movie. They go on some casino thing to tell us that war is bad. Well, we knew that. We fucking knew war was bad. No shit. And they completely just disregard. And then Luke's guess what? I was going to murder my nephew because I sensed bad in him. Okay. So I don't
like those flashbacks.
You were gonna murder your nephew because you sensed bad in him. Yet you were so adamant that Darth Vader, the man who killed younglings, who ruined the galaxy, had good in him still. I'm not buying that for a second.
He does say at the end there is still good in him, Leia. But yes, he would have never gotten to that point where he was just going to go fucking slaughter him.
He would have just murdered his nephew.
But the flashbacks kill me because it's like, are we seeing the flashback of the young scared Ben and the very angry like Luke straight up evil? Is that just like Ben's perspective? Like we still don't actually know what happened, but clearly Luke was skewing it to his version, which I didn't like that at all.
You get it both ways. right? You get Luke's version and you get Kylo Ren's version.
Right. But I don't think either of them are accurate.
Well, in Luke's version, right, he's so concerned he goes in there, it almost seems like he accidentally turns his lightsaber on just on instinct. And then Kylo wakes up and freaks out and defends himself, you know. And then in Kylo's version, Luke turns it on and tries to attack him. In Luke's version, he almost accidentally turns it on, and then Ben freaks out and swings at him first.
But I'm not.
You know, so I don't know. You're right, though. It's stupid either way.
It's stupid. I'm not buying Ben Solo, of all people, is gonna just wreck the entire Jedi Order. That Luke fucking Skywalker, the man who beat the Emperor and Darth Vader. Well, okay, he didn't beat the Emperor necessarily, but Luke Skywalker is getting punked by some 13-year-old kid. No way. No way. And then you introduce the Knights of Ren, but you never see the Knights of Ren. Nothing ever happens with the Knights of Ren. Like, they're introduced, but nothing ever happens with them. And it's just like,
what are we doing? They were in like a dream sequence or something, though.
Yeah, they briefly showed them.
Yeah. Thank God they finally used them a little bit in Rise of Skywalker. But
oh, man.
No, I mean, they could have been amazing. Like, they could have been the private guard, you know, from the beginning of Rise of Skywalker, which we'll get to. So I won't.
So there's some letters to the editor. Spoiler alert. I'm gonna go ahead and at that point, Kevin, you actually ask, or no, you ask the best characters. Sean asks kind of how would I have done the trilogy. So we'll get to that. But you spend the whole movie, you don't tell your top general what your plan is, and then all of a sudden we can hyperdrive, jump through other ships, which why didn't we do this before? Like, we could have ended the entire rebellion.
It's amazing.
It's cool.
It was so cool. When you saw that the first time, I was like, oh shit.
But like, we could have ended the rebellion by just jump into hyperspace through the Death Star. We could have saved how many lives? So in the grand scheme of things, it's like, okay, you go against that. And then Laura Dern's just not telling Poe what their plan is. Okay, don't really agree with that at all, because I feel like they needed to do. Yeah, why would you not tell your top general? You're trapped on a plane, and then it's like the whole.
It's like
Finn,
you just have to listen to what I say, and then Finn or Poe was like a dick about it too. Like it was both
so
sides were wrong. So they could have that moment of, oh, yes, I like him too, even though he's not listening to us. It's like
Leia does her Mary Poppins impression, and then she's knocked out.
Do we really need to talk about that shit?
Her final film as Princess Leia, she is knocked out for the entire movie after, that whole sequence. And it's like, that sucks. It sucks. And then we get to Crate, and Finn should have died. Like, somebody should have died on Crate, like sacrificing themselves in that canon. Instead, we get the love, which I'm cool. All right, fine. Finn and Rose, they're in love, whatever. But somebody should have died, because then you feel the weight of that impact. And then you're going to tell me there was a lot of
relationships they were insinuating that don't
exactly.
I don't understand what we were supposed to be
Finn
rooting
has
for.
Force powers, even, and then so it's just like a lot of
Finn and Poe were like.
Well, that was a whole other thing.
They were shipping that shit, and then Rey and Poe, and then Rey and Finn, and then it was all over the place.
And then, but like Luke,
that was the only thing Rose brought to the table, was that she pulled away from the Rey Finn relationship thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it seemed like they were trying to get Rey with everybody. I didn't. Yeah,
they drew Finn out and said, "All right, Finn has now got a thing with Rose. Rey's their own thing." The Rey, we haven't gotten to the third movie yet. There's so much. This whole trilogy is kind of just like one. It's like Force Awakens is great. The next two movies are just one big thing to talk about.
Right, and we don't need a romantic relationship in every movie by any means whatsoever. But it was weird because I felt like they wanted to insinuate that with all the characters. I don't understand. They didn't know what
they were doing. They didn't know.
It was just like, oh, she's beautiful and badass. Everybody's gonna love her.
Yeah, they're like, what if we make another trilogy? We got to set up some future baby characters.
Stop fucking doing trilogy, Star Wars. You can just make movies. It's like the difference between like a show on the CW versus a show on any streaming network, or like ABC. Okay, you have to do 20 episodes at 40 minutes long this whole season. Oh, on Netflix, just do what you need to do to tell the story you want. And it's like Star Wars keeps like holding itself to like.
They had no plan. And
they didn't even have a plot.
I think it also hurt them that when they brought in, was it Rainn Wilson or Rainn?
Oh, yeah. Rian Johnson.
Like, got it directed Last Jedi. It's like he came in, for some reason, Abrams didn't do it. I think he had to do a different movie, right?
They had no plan.
And
isn't he on every freaking movie there is?
He's a producer.
So Rian Johnson comes in and is like, ooh, you set it up really nice, but I kind of want to do something totally different. And then J.J. Abrams does the opposite. And spends... 2/3 of a movie just undoing everything that Rian Johnson did.
Yeah. Oh my God. Like, and then we kill Luke Skywalker due to exhaustion. Like Luke Skywalker. Luke Skywalker dies because he's tired.
I give him that one.
Because think about the amount of energy he had to utilize. He's already an old man. He's very much so expressed that. I mean, he's not that old. I think he's only in his 60s, but he's already expressed he's tired and he's worn out. And then how much energy it had to have taken to do a force projection so long and so hard. And I think he knew going in there that he was done for.
That's stupid.
He even passed the dice or the die. That alone, that's probably what killed him.
No, the dice had nothing to do with anything in Star Wars. Everybody, like the dice you see one little glimpse of in the New Hope, and that's it. They don't mean anything.
But you knew what it was.
But you don't even get like the three, Han, Leia, and Luke together at all, ever again.
That was interesting that they never did that.
So it's like,
that surprised me. Yeah.
That was kind of sad,
Lauren,
when
before
Leia
we move on,
I'll jump ahead to a fun fact real quick. Leia was supposed to be in more of the last movie before she passed. I was going to
tell you. Go ahead, hit us with our
quite a bit though. Shockingly,
she is
like they did magic with the footage they had.
Yeah, I have some of the info on that below. Okay, so
hit us with the fun facts so we can go into the Rise of Skywalker. For the love of Jesus,
Wait, is there more, I feel like we haven't done Last Jedi enough justice yet to.
Well, I can do the fun facts, and then we can definitely go more into it.
Fun facts, but I feel like we still need to talk a little bit on this one.
All right.
So Benicio del Toro was originally cast as Darth Maul.
I want to talk. Let's go.
Let's do it.
That's why we're here. So yes, Benicio del Toro was originally actually cast as Darth Maul in The Phantom Menace, but dropped out when he realized that his screen time would be minimal. So we get him now. Although I hated him with that.
I'm fine with that. I'm fine with him not being Darth Maul.
Tom Hardy was a stormtrooper, but his scene got cut. Warwick Davis is in this as well. He is a gambler. Carrie Fisher's dog made a cameo in the casino. So if you see a dog in that casino, that's Carrie Fisher's. In Rogue One, Jyn Erso reads out the list of data file names, and one is hyperspace tracking. So this was not new information. This was not the first time we had heard this. And they mentioned it in the cartoons too, because I remember watching it and then texting Matt, wait, they knew about this?
Yeah.
Frank Oz was brought back to be the puppet master for Yoda. And it was the first time since The Phantom Menace that he actually got to do this because a lot of the other Yoda stuff was CGI. Mark Hamill is also not just Luke. He's also the drunk guy at the casino that's putting coins into BB-8. When filming, Laura Dern kept saying pew, pew every time she shot her blaster. And although it's not audible, like they were able to take it out, there is one point where you can actually see her mouthing pew. So that's fun. And my last fun fact, the actor who played Finn is John Boyega. And he said that he was on like such a strict like regimen with like working out and food and everything that he was like not losing his mind, but he really wanted to like have a cheat day. So he went to Carrie Fisher's trailer and she had candy hidden and she shared her candy with him. And he said she ruined his diet and it was the best thing that happened to him.
Nice.
That's what
Interestingly, I'm in the middle of a fitness challenge at work and I'm on a pretty strict thing, but I'm breaking it tonight for you guys.
Yeah. Fitness.
Any diet that involves not drinking beer is just stupid.
Yeah.
We talked about this earlier. Never mind. Continue.
We did. We both had a few days of dryness and it did nothing for us.
Nothing. I had a week.
I had 5 days.
I sound like I have such
It
a
was
problem.
literally the longest I've gone since I had my last kid.
Before tonight's beverage, I'm on like 2 weeks of misery.
Wow.
Yeah, and you'll notice my page has kind of slowed down over the past couple of weeks.
Damn.
But,
No, I went 5 days, and it's only because I finally caught the Rona. And I've thought about it. I'm like, this is the longest I've gone since I had my son, who just turned 5 this week.
Because you don't want to drink a good beer when you had that because you can't taste it anyway.
Oh, no, I never lost taste or smell.
Oh, no?
Nope. Never lost it at all. I only had a head cold for a day and a half, but I just was trying to put good things in my body to get rid of it quicker.
And it didn't matter.
No, I didn't lose anything. I was still hungry the whole time too. All right. That's probably why I didn't lose weight.
So this movie overall, so I was looking back, I knew at one point I had ranked all the Star Wars movies from 1 through 11. This is last, right? This is 11. I will say,
jeez, man, y'all are really harsh on this.
I have revisited this one. My kids have gotten into Star Wars quite a bit over the past year and a half, and they watch all of them in whatever order they desire that day. Usually my son's just like, I want to watch the one with the monsters. All right, we watch Attack of the Clones. He's like, I want to watch the one with Yupa fish. So we watch Phantom Menace. He's all about the monsters and the creatures. But he also, for some reason, loves watching the new trilogy, the sequel trilogy.
Oh, no.
And he likes The Last Jedi because of the crate sequence.
Well, they're not following the story as much when they're little. Yeah, that makes sense.
Not at all.
That's true.
Through the snow and all the red flashing up. Like he enjoys that. He loves the AT-ATs. So they got some big, AT-ASTs or whatever they're called in this movie. So I've seen these a bunch. And I will say the sequel trilogy as a whole, we know The Force Awakens is good. Last Jedi, Rise of Skywalker, as a whole, they're not as awful as I took them to be right away. Gut reaction as a Star Wars fan. They do have redeeming qualities. They are gorgeous. They are pure eye candy. They are ear candy. They sound fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
The sequel trilogy does feel like I have ADD nonstop, though. There is just so much. It's like boom, 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 boom from start to finish. When they jump around from thing to thing constantly, that kind of drives me nuts a little bit. They're not amazing, but they're not the trash that we initially thought and that MASH still thinks.
Okay, so all right. I'll go ahead and I'll say
also,
that.
I think you're also, and Lauren, you probably can feel this as well. We go to Disney a couple times a year, and Disney just pushes the sequel trilogy and those characters nonstop. So you've become so familiar with them that they're not these new random characters anymore. They are a strong part of the lore, and it's just there. I mean, it's Disney's thing. Obviously, that's what they're going to put in your face, and the familiarity breeds, favor with them. You connect to them a little bit more because you're getting so familiar with them now.
It's
Disney. When you land them,
I was going to say, as someone who, it's funny, you guys both said, you're born knowing Vader was Luke's father. I wasn't, right? So I was born in 80, and as a very young kid, I remember my dad showing me the movies, and he didn't tell me anything about them. I don't even know if he really knew much about them. It wasn't really his thing. And I remember watching Empire and being like, wait, whoa, what?
Oh, wow.
And it's like, but I think that actually might have been the one I saw first. Like, I don't think I saw New Hope before I saw Empire as a kid. Because again, you're not following the story as a kid. You don't really care. But I remember that kind of blowing my mind and going there. So I'm the oddball.
I think by the time I watched Empire, I had already seen Toy Story 2. So, you got Zurg. And so,
because you saw them very late, as Mash pointed out. You're 45, even though you weren't, right? But
yes, I was born in 83, so I'm not too far behind you.
There you go. But you weren't into it as a kid, so.
No.
Well, I understand when people say, like, oh, nobody hates just like Star Wars fans. Of course,
don't
people
steal my line.
No, I'm going to steal it because I understand people are like, well, of course, we're passionate, right? Of course, nobody's going to be as critical about something if they're not as passionate about it. Like, if you're a casual fan,
no,
it's
I get
great.
it. Like, that's sometimes how I feel about a lot of the Wolverine stuff.
I hated the prequel trilogy when it came out.
Yeah, I mean, you even see
other
that.
than Darth
yeah.
Maul.
Oh,
And now
Darth
I go
Maul's
back and
badass.
watch it. I'm like, these are actually not. They're actually good. Like I enjoy that.
Okay, I don't know that I'll ever reach that, but maybe I'll eat my words eventually.
Not Attack of the Clones. Not Attack.
Come
of the
on,
Clones.
man, that one wasn't so bad. It wasn't, but
Revenge of the Sith is great, and all I need is Duel of the Fates.
Oh, I actually put that on this morning.
My first watch, I actually
the rest
didn't.
Of the movie is just waiting for Duel of the Fates.
See, episode 3 was my least favorite the first time I watched it because I felt Anakin had no character development and he was just a whiny little shit like Luke. And rewatching all of them, you know, I've said this many times in the last few months. It's much different now rewatching it. But at first I was like, what this? These are two of the weakest characters I've ever seen, yet they're so strong. Talking about Padme and Anakin, but
so it's like, I get it. There's a lot to love within these films. There really is. There's a lot of elements. There's a lot visually, and I think that's what makes me so frustrated. Was there are so many plot threads that we just didn't expand on, and the fact that there was no coherent thought. It was just like one director outdoing the other, and it was just like that's not. There's so much to love about Star Wars. And so to not really get that and to kind of just be a jumbled mess, and it's like, well, that sucked because it was like, this was my the prequels were my childhood, just like the original trilogies were somebody's childhood. And so now we're going to get the sequels to that. We've dreamed of this day. We have dreamed that we are going to get these films and we're going to expand what happened after Return. And this is what we got. It was just like, frustrating. It is. And maybe one day I'll look back and be like, all right, they weren't so bad. Maybe. Who knows?
One of the things I did like...
They're still not great.
No.
Yeah,
not so bad is the best you can really... That's where you're aiming.
But it's interesting because you can hate every single movie and still love the whole thing. But what I was going to say about Disney real quick, I'm going to say about Disney and then I have something to say about the movie real quick. So Disney, and I'm going to write an article about this on our website soon. The premise of Batuu at Disney, and this is Walt Disney World. Don't know about Disneyland. Matt, you're going to write that article come this summer when you go to Disneyland. It's post all the movies. It's Chewie has landed on Batuu and needs work done on the Millennium Falcon, and he struck up a deal with Hondo.
Yeah,
and you're gonna, go do a
Hondo.
You're going to go do something on the Millennium Falcon to try to get it fixed and whatnot. So everything is post all of this. You see Chewie, you don't see Han, you don't see Leia, you don't see Luke, you don't see any of them. You only see the characters that are still alive now. You see Rey, you see Chewie, you see Ren.
Oh,
they did have a Vader.
They don't put Finn.
No, I've never seen Finn. They did have a Vader meet and greet that was solely for if you had the Disney credit card. I don't know if that's back because they brought back character meet and greets. So I don't know if that's back, but like you can meet BB-8, you can't meet R2. There's no Mandalorian stuff. There's no Grogu stuff. There's magic pictures with Grogu, but that's about it. So it is very interesting that you even said that because I really haven't even thought about it. Like they really are pushing you on like, being here now. And this is where the universe is now. Meanwhile, you can go get a picture taken with the Beast over at Magic Kingdom. Not Adam, the prince that he turned into at the end of the movie.
Dinner, mind you.
Right. And you can take a picture with Gaston, who, spoiler, died at the end of Beauty and the Beast. So it's not totally consistent with how Disney usually runs. So one of the things I did really like, I think it was probably my favorite scene. I was prepared for this time, Matt, because last time you kept asking my favorite scenes and I didn't have an answer. So I prepared this time and you haven't asked me. My favorite scene in this was when Kylo couldn't shoot at his mom. He knew his mom was on the ship and he couldn't do it. And then people came up behind him and shot him.
Yeah.
And I love this for multiple reasons. One, anytime you see, fucking A, man, he just lost.
That's one.
Just in case you missed it.
As Lauren texted me the other night, that's one.
I texted Matt the other night, that's one when the game ended. All right, that's so you have one now too. It's 1-1.
There you go.
So anyways, what was it? Okay.
Sorry to derail you.
Oh, no, you're not.
No, not at all, actually.
It's because I didn't wear my lucky jersey. I have my O'Neal jersey on, and I should have had my teal. I'm going to wear my teal Wade jersey next game, and they're going to win. Watch. They haven't lost a game since every time I wear that jersey, they always win. So, not saying it's because of me.
She's not familiar with the jinx
She's
concept.
not
Because I'm talking about it. I just knocked on wood. So okay.
Let's move into.
I think she was finishing a thought somewhere.
I was finishing a thought until
just
y'all
totally
derailed me.
Her, sorry.
So I love the scene with Kylo not being able to kill Leia because, for one, you see that a lot in all sorts of movies. Like you saw that with Tony when he got mad at Bucky. Like it wasn't you killed my dad; it was like you killed my mom. You saw that with Star-Lord when he found out his dad, put the tumor in his mom's head. It was like there's that special connection, and I double loved it because Anakin's mom being killed by somebody else is what started him down the dark path. And so somebody else killing him sent him off on this. Meanwhile, Kylo's really still struggling and trying to be dark. And like, this is the moment, like he has to kill his mom. He has to take down the rebellion and he can't do it.
Yeah.
So I liked that.
That's fair.
Moms have a lot of power. If we learned anything from Batman versus Superman.
Man, no, we're not doing that here. We are not.
I'm sorry. Are we not open to all shitty movies on this podcast?
We are not. Because that is a good movie. How dare you say his name?
That was good.
We are moving on to the Rise of Skywalker.
Martha.
We are moving on to the Rise of Skywalker.
Is there a meme for that yet? Martha.
Still to this day, my most liked post on my Hops and Heroes page is my Martha joke between Batman and Superman.
I can't do this podcast anymore.
Check it out someday. There was actually a beer that Micah sent me from the Vale called Ask Your Mom.
Oh, that was a good one. I had that one.
Yeah.
I didn't like that name of that beer because to me it's like, oh, just go ask your mom. I'm like, what the fuck?
I saw the can and immediately knew where I was going with it. I'll bring it up for you.
You went to a much better place than I did.
I don't know if you'll be able to see it on the screen, but...
I remember that one. That's an awesome one, yes.
The glare is going to kill it, but there you go.
Ask your mom and Superman standing on top of Batman.
This is bullshit.
Get your kryptonite armor out of here.
Bullshit. All right, we're moving on. We're moving on to the Rise of Skywalker, damn it.
Before we move on. No. One last thing. No. It's the worst thing ever in Star Wars.
Okay.
The freaking Princess Leia flying through space horse shit. Like, completely unnecessary. That scene, no matter how much you like some of the other things, like the amazing battle in Snoke and how they kill him and go through, like, that battle scene is amazing. The only thing I can think of when I think of The Last Jedi is that stupid-ass Princess Leia flying back to the ship using the Force all of a sudden out of nowhere while she's unconscious, frozen in space.
But it wasn't out of nowhere.
Can't do it. It was out of nowhere.
Vader mentioned she had the Force, and you do see in the last movie they do
we knew that, but she never uses it, and then all of a sudden she could just fly through space while she's unconscious.
Well, she'd been training for 30 years in between.
Awful. Just awful.
In between 4 and 5.
She was doing the equivalent of
6 and 7.
Cardio kickboxing Jedi training. There was no real...
Oh, so you think it's like when Happy said to Black Widow, oh, you've done some Taekwondo classes or whatever?
Yeah, exactly. It was because they mentioned it in Rise, where we're going next, right? She started the training and she just wasn't into it. Like there was something that hit her and she's like, I can't do it anymore. She
had a vision of Kylo going dark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't buy it. It's such a dumb scene. I'm sure there's someone out there that disagrees, like her daughter.
Somebody's probably like, "This is art. What are you talking about?"
Like her daughter. Jeez,
we're gonna
y'all are going hardcore on this one.
Yeah, but like her daughter's in these movies. Yeah. She has 6,000 cameos.
She really
in the second 2 movies of this trilogy because it was like, oh, what can we do for Carrie Fisher? Let's put her daughter in every random Resistance person that comes to say something is her. It's like she's the only one that knows anything.
Too, wasn't she in the?
Yeah, she has a couple lines.
She had the little buns, but her buns are much tinier. They're not Cinnabons. They're like mini buns.
But again, it's like, how many times in this trilogy does some random piece of information need to get delivered, and she's the one that runs over to say it?
It's true.
It's like she's the Resistance PR person.
Well, she got this job by her mom, all right? So
exactly,
it's nepotism.
And that's fine. That's great. It's a good nod. It's hey, thank you for your service. But it's just.
I mean, all of Star Wars is nepotism if you think about it.
True.
This is true.
All right.
Anyway, all right, we can get off
Rise
the
of
movie now.
Skywalker. Let's hit the Rise of Skywalker. The finale.
The last movie I saw before COVID.
Oh my God. So I saw this movie opening night. I saw it December 20th, 2019. The only special thing about these movies is I saw the first one in Qatar, second one in Boston, third one in Boise. So it's like, oh, I saw these all different places, different phases of my life.
You're like a world traveler.
I am. No big deal. Humble brag. And so in the riveting conclusion of the landmark Skywalker saga, which actually concluded Return of the Jedi, but whatever, new legends will be born in the final battle for freedom is yet to come. So where to begin? All right. So this movie starts out with so much promise. So much promise. We get Kylo Ren on Mustafar.
Was there anybody that was not beyond hyped when you learned the Emperor was coming back? Like, as dumb as it plays out, at first everybody was like, "Oh my God, that's amazing."
I was not hyped. I saw the leak. I saw the leak that was like the Emperor's coming back. I was like, "No fucking way, this is real right now." I was like,
"Well, they
no
put
way.
out the one poster I think that had his silhouette in the background."
And I was like, "No way."
I was excited.
I thought he was like a Force ghost. All right, to be fair, I thought this man was a Force ghost, and so the movie starts out with so much promise. Kylo's killing everybody on Mustafar. He finds a Sith holocron. He goes to a Sith temple. And then you hear that voice. And you're just like, no, please no. And then you see
Emperor, you're like Michael Scott. God, no.
Well, I was like, it's like Game of Thrones all over again. I was like, there's no way this is real. It's not real. The leaks are not real. And then they became real. And I was like,
it's like the opposite of No Way Home.
I want to die.
Such a big thing. They just throw it out there in the first 5 minutes of the movie. Like, okay, Emperor's back. He's got this whole big thing. All right, let's keep going.
Yeah,
he's just whoa.
He's strung up like a puppet. And he's just like talking with his deep voice. And he doesn't even look like Palpatine. Like, he's looking like he got some Botox done. And it's just like,
he's pretty old. He's probably dead.
We're doing it. Like, he's got missing fingers, but he's looking great for being how old he is. And after getting blown.
But the thing is, it's not even him.
I know, he's a clone. It's
a clone.
I understand.
The clone looks like shit. Like, you
I
should have done a better job.
In the legends, like the Palpatine cloned himself at times, but I was like, there's no way. And I was like, all right, we're gonna get decent. There was no setup. Okay, there was zero setup to this, and I was like, all right. And then our only explanation to this whole thing was somehow Palpatine returned, and you feel the pain impose, like, and he just raises all these Star Destroyers from the ice, and they're all fitted with Death Star cannons. It's like, what the fuck is going on right now? You're just like, no. And then they reduce Poe to being some spice runner before this all happened. Like, what? And then Finn.
Hey, everyone has a past.
Okay, but Finn, his past is a stormtrooper. So when stormtroopers are flying after them, I would think the ex-stormtrooper, his first thought isn't that they fly now, because the ex-stormtrooper would know that they fly because he's an ex-stormtrooper. But his go-to,
they didn't have the jetpacks until after he quit.
No, they were flying long before, and
not in his division.
And then I'm okay with the Force
healing. He was like a janitor.
No, fuck that dude. No, he knew.
By the way, can we just go back? Is the bloody hand printed Finn helmet not the coolest stormtrooper helmet in the whole sequel trilogy?
No, it legit was.
Yeah.
So
he's good for that. All right, keep going.
So, but
I even remember watching the trailer where he takes his helmet off. I was like, "Whoa! I don't think that's been done before."
No, but they straight up just disregard him being a stormtrooper turned possible Jedi, and he keeps teasing this entire movie. He's like, "Rey, I got something to tell you. Rey, I got something to tell you," and he never tells her.
I hate that storyline in anything.
And then it comes out after the fact that J.J. Abrams was like, "Yeah, he wanted to tell her that he was Force sensitive." So why didn't
I thought he was trying to tell her that he loved her.
Yeah, but then he comes out and was like,
and
"Who's
that's one of
force
the
sensitive?"
stupid, confusing things they do. Yeah, I hate that with any. Like, if somebody was like, "Hey, I have something I need to tell you," you wouldn't be like, "Oh, hold on, let me go deal with all of this first, and then I'll listen to you." You'd be like, "Whoa, what do you have to say? Yeah, tell me."
Right? And
I
so
hate
like,
that
Even
in
when they
every
fall through the
TV show and
sand,
movie.
he's like, I never told you.
Yes.
And then they fall in the sand, and then they flash like, what were you going to tell me? He's like, oh, nothing.
no, nothing,
Like,
no,
wait,
no
wait, wait.
big deal. Never
So that's
mind.
what
Because
he
if it
was
was
gonna tell
important,
her?
like the Force thing, he would have told her right there. But if it's the way he said, oh, no, don't worry about it. And Poe was like, what, you can't tell me you can't say it when I'm here? He was like, no. That is why it's like, oh, he was going to say he loves her.
Yeah, but then they
What
had
else would
set
you
up
be
the stuff
shy
with
about?
him and Rose. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's very convoluted.
It's yeah.
I forgot to also say how stupid and useless that casino scene was. You mentioned it, but that whole thing is dumb.
The whole thing, it doesn't do anything for the rest
It's
of
just
this
a
trilogy.
it's a waste of 30 minutes of my time in that movie.
It is a long time they're there.
Yeah.
It is. And it's just like Finn never becomes that Jedi. We get a fake out with Chewie dying and then he's alive the next scene. The Knights of Ren show up just to get murdered by Kylo turned Ben.
Chewie thing was all right, I guess. You can't kill Chewie. And that was crazy when all of a sudden the lightning rips out of her hand and destroys. Like, that was like, oh, shit.
Yeah, okay. I didn't hate that.
Yeah, I hated
that whole
it.
scene was kind of crazy.
And then
me jumping over the TIE fighter and cutting its wing off was an interesting move. But
And then Kylo Ren dies twice in this movie. Like they go to the Death Star, which just happens to have like perfectly things set up to look a certain way and has this Sith dagger. And then Rey kills Kylo, but he's back alive after seeing Han tell him, "Hey, it's okay, champ." And then he gives his life force
she
to Rey.
brings him back to life.
Yeah, I'm okay with force healing. I am. What I'm not okay with.
That came out of nowhere, though.
It did.
Yeah.
It's like they did it in the movie, and then literally the next week they did it with Grogu.
Well, yeah, because they were like, "Oh shit, we have to show this somewhere else."
We have to show that it existed before that movie.
Why didn't we do that? And then
because it was like, how does Rey all of a sudden know how to do that?
Exactly.
Out of nowhere.
And then how does Rey? We're just passing lightsabers through the Force. Like, no.
Oh god, we didn't even talk about the whole "I can touch you from millions of light years away" because we have a connection.
That's what I'm saying.
Like phone sex on a whole new level.
They can just do shit through the Force now. It's like, well, why wasn't this a thing before? It makes no sense.
But they can't really. Remember, it's the Emperor was doing it for them the whole time. Or Snoke was supposedly doing it for them. But then the Emperor was doing it through Snoke because Snoke was a puppet.
We're setting Snoke up, and then Snoke gets killed, and so it's like you're setting. Oh my! It's so frustrating. It is so.
They
frustrating.
had to get rid of him because of that stupid gold robe. Why is he commanding the galaxy in leisure wear?
The only use of the Knights of Ren were just for Kylo to pull this.
Hey, robes are very comfortable. I'm a robe user.
I'm sure they
who
are.
isn't? Robes are great.
Hey, if I was super powerful, I got a super comfy Black Widow robe. If I ever ruled the galaxy,
gold robe,
I'm wearing that shit every day.
You don't see this in the movie. You don't see it in the movie. And the tote with the new sequel trilogy figures is about 4 deep in my closet. But the figure for Snoke, he's wearing fucking slippers.
Good for him.
He is wearing gold slip-on slippers.
Oh no!
Borderline ballet shoes. It's ridiculous.
As one should.
This guy is.
Oh no.
Okay, so if you guys were running the galaxy and were super powerful, what would you wear?
Not slippers and a robe.
Badass black armor, and I'm keeping my helmet on.
That sounds very uncomfortable.
Something. You're going to go along somewhere. Look at all the awesome Sith Lord concepts and characters we've seen.
Darth Revan.
Especially in like the Old Republic and everything.
Yeah.
You're wearing something like that. Like
you are,
any of them, but I feel like they're angry because they're uncomfortable.
No.
They're angry because they want to be.
No.
The old ones, the Old Republic. Can we get that trilogy next?
Yeah, like I know.
Can we get the Old Republic trilogy next? Those are some badass characters.
All I gotta say is I run this house in a robe and slippers.
I don't even want fun facts for this movie.
You want a dramatic? You want a dramatic twist? You want a dramatic scene, a dramatic twist? Do the Old Republic story, and what is it? Is it Darth Bane who decides to implement the rule of 2?
Yes.
And just wipes out the rest of the Sith? Like, come on, show me that.
So, fun fact number 1, Carrie Fisher passed before she finished her roles in this trilogy. So, to keep her in the story, they had a stand-in for her so people could still deliver their lines. And then they placed Carrie Fisher's face on a digital character. Unfortunately, though, I had mentioned before, she was supposed to have a bigger role. Fisher's daughter, Billie Lourd, was in the sequel trilogy wearing the infamous double-side buns, but she also played young Leia in the flashback scene we were talking about before when she's training with Luke. And you can tell because it doesn't look exactly like Leia. It resembles Leia. So Sally Guinness, who is Alec Guinness's granddaughter, also known as Obi-Wan Kenobi in the original trilogy, she plays a background First Order officer. So that's fun. I wonder, like, do they reach out to her and be like, hey, you want to have a cameo? Like, how does that work? I don't know. So the original design for the Sith throne on the Death Star that you see in Return of the Jedi was actually supposed to be Palpatine's new seat in The Rise of Skywalker. So those are connected. J.J. Abrams voiced D.O. That's the tiny little green droid. The guy that looks like Admiral Akbar is Admiral Akbar's son. At the very end, and this I actually liked when I rewatched because I had met Ahsoka for the first time and met, Kanan for the first time. So this was pretty cool. At the end, when Rey hears all the Jedis, you actually hear the voices of Ewan McGregor, Alec Guinness, Mace Windu, Frank Oz as Yoda, Liam Neeson as Qui-Gon. You hear Hayden as Anakin, and you do hear Freddie Prinze Jr. as Kanan Jarrus, and you hear Ashley Eckstein as Ahsoka Tano. So I thought that was kind of cool because I feel like it's in Rogue One, we get very subtle hints of Rebels, but I feel like this was the first time that it was blatantly, obviously recognized as the cartoons are canon. Obviously, we're getting more of that in Disney Plus, but that was pretty cool.
Right.
So in the scene when the camera pans up to the sky, it's the exact same stars from a scene in The New Hope, like in that one scene where they like pan up. So they did that on purpose. J.J. Abrams, again, very much wanted to replicate the original trilogy. The color yellow shows up for the first time in a lightsaber, and this was done to represent Rey's optimism. The opening sequence when Kylo... So you actually had mentioned this. I did not realize that the opening sequence where Kylo is straight up murdering people is Mustafar, because I thought Mustafar was just all lava. I can see that now because you see the red and everything in the background. But I, again, as I still, kind of consider myself a casual fan leaning into more, I had no clue.
Nope, it was Mustafar.
Part of the hilt.
Going on the yellow lightsaber thing quick, Mash, you might know this. The yellow lightsabers, are they not reserved for the Guardians of the Jedi Temple?
Yeah, they were supposed to.
Okay.
Now they represent optimism.
She's kind of like the holder and protector of all things Jedi now, since she's the last one.
Yeah, so they're basically the yellow indicates a Jedi Sentinel, which is a Jedi who has honed, whatever, his or her skills in a balance of combat and scholarly pursuits. And so the in-canon explanation as to why Rey has a yellow one is because she took on all of the strength of all of the Jedi that came before her.
Interesting fun fact. Do I have it within reach? The original packaging for the Obi-Wan Kenobi toy. Now I have they did a 6-inch version, like homage for the 50th anniversary. In that packaging, so this would look the same as it did. He is holding a yellow lightsaber.
That's true. He is. Yeah, that is pretty rad.
But in the movie, it was blue.
So yeah, yellow is the Sentinels or a Jedi who underwent some sort of identity change. But for her, she was all of the Jedi.
It's the identity crisis.
My God. In that scene, it's like, Palpatine's like, I am all of the Sith. And she's like, and I am all of the Jedi. It was, oh my God. So, his plan was to kill her to stay alive, but she kills him. It doesn't
Part
make
of
sense.
the hilt of Rey's lightsaber is actually from her staff that you see in the first of the sequel trilogies.
Really?
Yep.
The yellow one?
Yeah, I actually Googled that because I was like, is it really? And you can actually see it's how the staff is kind of like, almost looks like there's like fabric around it. There's like one small piece of the hilt that does look like that. So Mark Hamill voiced the Resistance fighter Bulio, and that is the guy whose severed head we end up seeing.
Yeah.
However, Patrick Williams is credited as the voice because this is apparently one of Mark Hamill's fake names. Anthony Daniels is the only actor to appear in all 9 episodes. John Boyega, Finn, he actually left a copy of the script in his apartment after he moved, and it turned up on eBay for about $84 because the cleaning crew that came in after found it and put it on eBay. Fortunately, they didn't know what they had, and a Disney employee saw it before anybody else, and they were able to buy it. And our last fun fact, which I know we've mentioned before, the porgs only exist because there were puffin penguins everywhere when they were filming.
Yeah.
And it was easier to replace them with porgs than to get rid of the puffin penguins. And now Disney can sell porgs that go on your shoulder for $25 each.
My son freaking loves those things.
My daughter, my 18-year-old daughter made me put one. She wanted one from Santa, and Santa delivered.
Man.
I'll leave it at that.
God damn it, Santa. I'm
like, really? This is what you want from Santa? Do you know how much they are? Santa's got to pay a pretty penny for that.
I honestly don't have anything else to say about this movie. I don't have words anymore. Do you guys have anything else you want to say before we wrap this up and get to our letters to the
This
editor?
is probably where I would interject with my, could this theory have fixed the saga?
All right, Jar
Oh,
Jar Binks,
yeah.
go ahead.
Because we get the whole who are your parents, and we actually, it's interesting, we talked through this whole sequel trilogy, we barely talked about Rey other than just now with her lightsaber, right?
She doesn't have
Yeah,
anything to do.
you're right.
actually-
She's the main character.
She's the main
She's
character.
actually a pretty good character. And again, you look at what Disney does, right? My oldest daughter loves Rey, like, because those are the Star Wars movies that are out now. She sees her everywhere. It's a strong female character. Her two characters are like Princess Leia from the old movies, and she loves Rey. But it's like, oh, your parents. They talk about who are your parents. It's like there's going to be this big reveal. I remember, God, everybody online talking. Is she? A Kenobi?
I remember that. Yeah.
Is she an illegitimate Luke Skywalker kid? Like, who is she? Right? Your parents are nobody in The Last Jedi, and I don't even want to talk about that weirdo 17,000 mirror sequence scene with her in that movie. But
snap.
Vampire. She got morbed, dude. She was morbed.
yeah, but so they do this whole thing like, oh, you're Palpatine's granddaughter. Okay, he has a son that we're never going to talk about, and magically his son got married, like has never been brought into the conversation before,
And wanted nothing to do with them.
Yeah, I think, and Matt, you probably be able to correct me on this, but I think his son is actually one of the failed clones that didn't become something. And they just like cast it off.
Yeah, that's kind of how it was. Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know that it fixes everything, but it ties the whole saga together with some meaning here, with my theory, not that one. Mash is already shaking his head no. But so give me a minute here to put all this into context. In the prequel trilogy, right, you have the Emperor talking to Anakin about how Darth Plagueis learns how to cheat death, right? Some abilities, that's how he kind of lures Anakin into it. And he tells him very specifically about this, powerful Sith who managed to have these unnatural abilities. And they even say the same line twice, right? He says that line, the dark side is a path to some abilities that folks find unnatural.
He repeats the line from episode 3.
Yeah.
Or supernatural.
We're not going to your show yet. Although, where's the car? Break the car out. Anyway,
No.
Right here.
Break none of this out.
There it is. From my hands to yours. It's nice to see that it made it all the way down there safe. It's fun stories.
And it is proudly displayed.
So he says that line both in the prequel trilogy and the sequel trilogy, which only helps my idea, right? So Anakin, we know, was, immaculately conceived to bring balance to the Force. What if the Force brought Anakin to life to balance out Darth Plagueis bringing to cheating death himself?
I thought it was confirmed
so that's the balance.
Anakin is the balance. He was brought he was made by the Force to create the balance, and he eventually did in episode 6.
Correct. But they don't ever say that it was what if the Force brought him to balance the unnatural ability of Plagueis cheating death?
No,
right?
That's where the as far as I'm concerned, that's exactly what happened.
Good and evil. Okay, so we're going to go with that, right? So you're on board for half of it. Now, the Emperor magically comes back in the sequel trilogy. The Emperor obviously knows about this ability. He tells Anakin about this ability. Mm-hmm. What if he, too, was able to cheat death on his own and wasn't some stupid clone thing, right? He figures out the ability on how to cheat death and bring himself back. And Rey is now the Force's balance. Another character who is immaculately conceived by the Force to bring balance to the Emperor coming back. It gives it more meaning than her just being a random granddaughter, right? Now I want to know what's going through his head, because he is going bonkers right now.
No, I
don't. He's shaking his head angrily.
They didn't think that deep. Not at all.
But does that work? Is that not better?
No. The balance was achieved. The balance was achieved in episode 6 when Darth Vader killed the But
it didn't end in episode
until the Emperor unbalances it again by cheating death. The Force had to react again.
No.
That's my
absolutely not
fan theory that I think they should have gone with.
Oh, well, yeah. Okay. If you're bringing Palpatine
you're
back,
just randomly granddaughter.
If you're bringing Palpatine back, yeah, fine. Great. I'm good with that. But
if you really want to go back and fix it, we fix everything.
Exactly.
But if I got to work with the mess I'm handed, that little detail that would have been no more than a few lines of script could have done a lot for the trilogy.
All right. We got to get to letters of the editor. We're not doing news on this episode. We got to get to the letters, man. So
I'm so proud to be on another episode that cancels the news.
Fuck the news. God damn it. So Red Fox has asked us, should Finn have been a Jedi? Well, obviously they said that. Yes. No. This whole thing should have been Finn. All right. So this bleeds into Sean for Metalcore Nerds. I'm not even going to let you guys talk for a second. Like, this bleeds into the next one. Sean asked, if we took over the trilogy, how would you have wrapped it up? All right. So Finn should have been the focus. Him and Rey both could have been both Jedi. They both could have been Jedi. You have Finn, who is a runaway stormtrooper in a time where that is like unheard from, stormtroopers don't up and leave. And he leads a revolution of sorts with stormtroopers. So both could have been Jedi. You could lean into that story some more. Snoke could have been a failed clone of Palpatine. I'll live with that. Ben could have gone on to actually be the supreme leader, and just because we didn't even talk about that fact that Hux got nerfed, but Ben could have been.
I love that.
Yeah, like
I did have that in my notes, because I thought that like he was such a D-bag, and he's like, oh, I got to get out of here. Well, no, they're onto you, D-bag. They understand what you're doing. Like, nice try.
Man. They nerfed him, and Ben could have been the supreme leader that could have wrecked the galaxy just himself, without this love story. And you could have had Finn, you could have had Rey, both, and they could have battled Kylo Ren, and they could have defeated the First Order by defeating Kylo Ren and all of that. Or Rey could have joined the dark side, which could have led Finn to being the Jedi. Like, Rey and Kylo could have joined the dark side. I'm
going to throw the Finn Jedi thing out the window, because I just don't think that would have. I don't think it.
It absolutely works. He's a runaway stormtrooper who has Force powers. Yes.
I will say, though, after watching The Force Awakens, at the end of that movie, I'm like, okay, this trilogy ends with Rey going dark and Kylo Ren going good.
I would have lived with that, because then
that would
have been dope.
But there's no way in hell Disney's going to let their main female character become the bad guy.
No, absolutely not.
Did you
but they should
watch the last Marvel movie?
No, I haven't. So
yeah, they finally did it, but not in a Star Wars movie. But
yeah, we're talking Star Wars here. But that's the way I thought it was going to go.
They're both Disney properties.
Yeah. So I wrote down a week. Invite me back for Strange when I see it.
We might be doing something in June for that.
Nice. I wrote a note down when we were talking Force Awakens. I didn't get a chance to go back to it. In that scene where Rey's over Kylo Ren, right, in the forest battle there, when I was watching the movie, I thought I had faintly heard something, and there was no way to confirm whatever, but in the novelization of that movie, she does hear a voice in her head that says, "Finish him." So that like
I'll have to go back and listen. I don't remember that. I'll have to go back.
Almost made it seem like had they flipped roles by the end of the third movie, that would have been
perfect.
Cool.
It would have been perfect.
So I guess my thing is like you saw like Anakin be like telling Padme like, you know, join with me. We can rule the galaxy together. And you think like, wow, what a power couple. Like that would be great. But Anakin's not mentally stable. Kylo, despite wanting to be evil, he is more mentally stable than Anakin. And I feel like him and Rey together, like might have had the best of both worlds.
And Finn could have been the Jedi to take him down.
And it would have been.
Finn is never going to take them down.
Yes,
I'm sorry. Finn is not a strong enough character to do that. It would have been
so much more emotional, too, that he had to kill
But I feel
Rey.
like people would have because you see that in Clone Wars where they second guess, like, okay, maybe the people, you know, fighting against us aren't the worst. Like, you know, you see like Padme takes Ahsoka elsewhere. And it was like, you know, these are some of the people that are fighting on this side. Not everybody's evil. And I feel like you would have had the resistance would have had a harder time fighting it. And I just felt like nobody expected them to do that, even though many people wanted them to do that. Again, they're like, well, Disney's not going to do this. Star Wars isn't going to do this because it's always hope prevails in the end. Well, you know, if you really want to go on politics, a lot of good people sell their souls for what they think is the betterment of the overall ending.
Themselves.
Yeah.
And I mean, Rey and Ben together, I didn't want to see Ben die. I truly wanted to see him go on and carry on the legacy, whether it was good or bad. And I get that he's like, look, I can't just pack up shop and be like, hey guys, I'm good now. I'm coming to the light side. But if they had combined forces and they were the ones in control and like started doing good things, like that would have been fun.
God, could you imagine a trilogy with their kid?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe Rey got force impregnated by that kiss.
That's the thing. You never see two Force people have a kid together, have we?
No. So Stacy has asked us before the final reveal of the movie, who did you guys want Rey's parents to be?
No one.
I agree.
When I first saw it, I thought she was going to be like Luke Skywalker's kid or some bullshit. But after watching the Clone Wars, I think it would have been cool to see her be Obi-Wan's kid, because I still think that Obi-Wan and Sabine,
Satine definitely
Satine
banged.
Right, Sabine is a different person. That Satine's kid is Obi-Wan's, and that would have been cool if she was his.
Yeah,
agreed.
I would have ultimately. I wanted her to be nobody. But if you had to connect her to somebody, I would have preferred it to be Kenobi.
Agreed.
But it could have been a random Jedi, too, whose story we never learned. Because I feel like a Jedi is a trait you get.
Well, you're a Force user, you're not. You're kind of born with it. But like the fact that they set up at the end of The Last Jedi that like anybody could be a Force user, like there you go. Rey could have been a nobody.
But is it a recessive gene? I mean, I feel like it's genetics.
It's like a mutant gene.
Right. So it's just you had hoped that like Rey had just had generations before her that it was recessive. And then these two parents have both had recessive, and all of a sudden, boom, here she is.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, genetically and scientifically, that makes sense.
Yes. Wait, Max, you saying we're going to get the X-Men in Star Wars now?
Yes, we are. That's how they're getting introduced actually into Disney. Just saying.
Nice.
So last question before we wrap up. Kevin, you actually asked this one, so I'm going to let you answer first. What were your favorite characters, and what was one thing you loved about the sequels?
Oh, because I tried to put a positive question because I knew you were going to shit all over it.
I like that. You know, he sent the questions. I'm like, you're going to be on this episode. You can ask whatever you want.
It was basically more my notes, right? I still think Kylo Ren was the best character to come out of the trilogy, despite so many scenes with his helmet off. Despite so many scenes of him being just a whiny character. So desperate at times. I do think the mental struggle he went through and the back and forth, like you said, of so desperately wanting to be something, but not fully being able to let go of what he probably knew at his core was the right choice. Like it was a very cool character.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it. I mean, other characters are good. Like I do like Rey. Not the strongest, but I do like her as a character as I watch them more and more with the kids. But Kylo Ren is definitely the best part.
That's fair. Lauren,
coming out of that.
What about you?
I actually completely agree with him. Kylo Ren was the tortured soul that we deserved in the previous movies that we didn't get. And there was, I don't know why. I don't know if it was casting or writing or what, because I do like Rey, but I didn't love her. I didn't feel like she was the female badass that we deserved. But I
never really
I
gave
did
her a
like
chance
her at
to
the
be.
same time.
So
she was
maybe
interesting. She was very badass in her fighting abilities.
Yeah. She was like
but
raw.
just seemed like a deer in headlights. Other than that,
Yeah.
everything surprised her. I mean, obviously she's very sheltered, lives in this,
right. It was almost
world
too
where
much
she didn't know any
innocence,
of
though.
this. Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Whereas like Leia, she came out straight out the gate. Even she's a princess. We talked about it on the last episode. She's instantly insulting everybody,
Right?
And we loved that about her. And yeah, I guess Rey was just too naive and whatnot.
Well, that's
too
fine.
much hope,
and I'm fine with her being raw because I liked her. I liked Finn. I liked Kylo, and I liked Poe. Those were kind of my favorite characters, and I thought they laid a lot of great storyline. I thought they did a lot of things visually and sound wise and things. It's just they didn't have a clear plan, and that's what derailed it. So
that's the best way to summarize that trilogy.
Yeah.
No clear plan.
So who knows where they'll go next? We'll see what happens. Kevin, before we wrap up, man, thanks for joining us. Go ahead, plug one more time where we can find you.
An absolute pleasure to be back and chat with you guys on any topic. This one was fun, I think, even knowing that Matt was going to bring a pile of shit to this one. We had some fun with it. So thank you guys for having me back.
It's all fun, man.
Talking Star Wars, anything is always fun regardless. And for everybody out there, check me out on Instagram at Hopsnheroes. If you like craft beer and or action figures, that's what I'm going to bring you. So throw it out there.
Yeah.
Throw me a message too. You want to throw me a private message and say, hey, I'd love to see this character, this figure out there. I'll see what I can do to bring it in the mix.
Yeah, you do a lot of
laying around.
Yeah, you do. You have just a little bit of a collection. You bring a lot of great photos. I always enjoy your photos. Something that I would love and aspire to do. I'm just lazy. So go ahead, check him out. It's always been a pleasure. Next week, I would say we're going to wrap it up, but not quite, as we have a surprise bonus coming out as well. But we are going to talk villains next week in Star Wars as kind of a conclusion. And in the meantime, go to hopsnews.beer, find all of our episodes. You can find our links to our social medias, our merch, our everything. Go ahead, find us there. And in the meantime, thank you so much. Yes, maybe we shit all over these movies, but let us know what you like about them, because I love Star Wars at the end of the day. There are things to love about these movies. Not everything is doom and gloom. Let us know what you like about these movies and what you would have liked to hear more on. So thank you all for coming on. Thanks, Kevin, and cheers.
This has been a Hops News production. You can find Hops News on all your favorite podcasts and social media platforms at Hops News. Cheers.